I had returned from a week-long business trip feeling exhausted but happy to be home. My apartment smelled like the faint traces of the life I had left behind, quiet and familiar. A month later, during a routine checkup, my doctor delivered news that stopped me in my tracks. I was pregnant. I stared at the positive test, unable to reconcile it with the timeline. I had been away for work, and I knew the dates clearly. When I told Mark, my partner of 3 years, he looked puzzled. "The dates don't match," he said, brows furrowed. I felt a mixture of confusion and frustration. "Mark, I just got the news. We need to figure this out together, not question each other immediately." He nodded, but I could see the doubt lingering in his eyes. He wanted clarity, and so did I. We decided to track everything: the dates, the events, and my doctor's estimates. I wanted to ensure there was no mistake. Mark and I spent hours going over calendars, flights, and hotel check-ins, trying to reconcile the timeline logically. Despite the numbers, the uncertainty was overwhelming. I could see the stress in Mark's face, the anxiety in his gestures. I scheduled another appointment with the doctor for a more precise ultrasound, hoping for answers. The ultrasound revealed a gestational age slightly different from what we had expected, but still plausible. I realized then that timelines, though precise in theory, can vary in reality. Human biology isn't always exact. Mark sat silently in the waiting room, holding my hand. We both understood the stakes emotionally and mentally. When the doctor explained the new estimate, both of us breathed a little easier. There was room for explanation. It wasn't as rigid as we feared. We left the office together, deciding that speculation wouldn't solve anything. Trust and patience had to guide our next steps. Over the next few weeks, we prepared for the baby while continuing to process the initial shock of conflicting dates. I kept a journal, documenting milestones and symptoms, trying to make sense of my body and its signals. Mark focused on support, attending appointments, and helping me manage the uncertainty with practical measures. Friends and family provided emotional support, offering reassurance that timelines sometimes appear inconsistent but are rarely cause for panic. We spoke openly about fears, doubts, and expectations, making sure to communicate rather than assume or accuse. I realized that clarity comes not just from dates but from honesty, observation, and shared responsibility. Mark and I attended prenatal classes together, learning about the baby, childbirth, and parenting as a team. The process strengthened our relationship, showing us that patience and understanding can overcome doubt and confusion. By the second trimester, the baby's growth confirmed the viability and timing of the pregnancy, resolving much of our anxiety. We celebrated small milestones together, hearing the heartbeat, seeing the first ultrasound image, and preparing the nursery. I felt a sense of relief and gratitude for Mark's support, recognizing that trust and cooperation were more important than rigid dates. We made plans for the future, focusing on preparation rather than blame or suspicion. Each day, I reflected on how fragile assumptions can be and how essential communication is when facing life-changing events. Mark apologized for his initial doubts, and I forgave him, understanding that stress can cloud judgment even in loving relationships. We established routines together, prioritizing health, rest, and mental well-being, both individually and as a couple. I attended regular checkups, monitored progress, and remained proactive about health and safety. Mark helped manage household responsibilities, easing the physical and emotional burden on me. We started reading books about parenting and pregnancy, discussing expectations, hopes, and fears openly. The baby became a unifying focus, helping us bridge gaps in understanding and strengthen our bond. By the third trimester, we felt ready and confident to welcome a new life, despite the confusing start. We created a support network, including family, friends, and healthcare providers, to ensure preparedness and reassurance. Mark and I planned a baby shower, celebrating the upcoming arrival with love and laughter rather than fear. I realized that uncertainty does not negate reality. It only tests patience, trust, and resilience. The conflicting dates became a story we would tell lightly, acknowledging how human error and biology can complicate assumptions. By the final weeks, excitement and anticipation replaced lingering doubt. We focused on the joy of impending parenthood. I felt empowered knowing that we navigated uncertainty together with empathy and honesty. Mark and I packed the hospital bag, reviewed emergency contacts, and made contingency plans, feeling prepared. The night before labor, we sat together quietly, reflecting on the journey from confusion to clarity. We acknowledged that challenges had strengthened us, teaching patience, trust, and cooperative problem-solving. When the baby finally arrived, healthy and strong, all doubts and worries melted away, replaced with profound love and responsibility. We marveled at the tiny life we had created, realizing that shared support matters more than rigid calculations. The baby's first weeks were full of learning, adjustment, and deep emotional connection for both of us. Mark held the baby gently, often looking at me with gratitude for our journey and teamwork. I realized that parenthood, like life, is full of uncertainty, but commitment and collaboration make it navigable. We documented milestones, captured photographs, and created memories, embracing the unpredictability with joy. The experience taught me the value of patience, empathy, and honest communication in all aspects of life. We shared our story with close friends, emphasizing the importance of support, understanding, and avoiding premature judgments. By the end of the year, the baby thrived, and Mark and I had developed a deeper, more resilient bond. Looking back, the initial shock of conflicting dates seemed small compared to the growth, trust, and love we had built together. We understood that life rarely fits neatly into timelines and that compassion and cooperation matter most. Mark often reminded me how proud he was of how we handled the situation, turning uncertainty into a lesson in partnership. I felt grateful for clarity, patience, and the support of loved ones who guided us through the confusing early days. The baby's laughter filled our home, replacing doubt with joy, and we moved forward with confidence in our family's foundation.